Are you ready for the revolution?
I'm ready for the pumpkin spice savior.
The future of music is already here, and I can't wait to share it with the world. Welcome to Blind Duet. On each episode of this podcast, we set up two musicians on a musical blind date. After introductions, they have 2 weeks to write and record an original 2-minute piece of music together. I'm your co-host, Tom, and I am very excited for this episode.
I'm Ben, and already the artists in episode 2 are setting the bar super high. These are two guys that I immediately knew I wanted to pair up for this show. When we first started talking about it, they were two of the first names I thought of, and I'm super excited for this episode. Just a few notes before we jump in here so everyone can follow exactly what went on. Josh is based in New Orleans, and Zach is in LA. You will hear Josh reference evacuating. We recorded our first interview just after Hurricane Ida a little over a month ago, and Josh at the time was relocated in Austin, Texas.
Right, and we wrapped up that recording, and Josh offered to do something that we were not expecting. He actually offered to travel to LA and work with Zach in person, which is awesome. It is absolutely not a requirement for our guests. We don't ask that of them, but Josh was down to fly. Zach was into it, so they worked for a few days in LA. They made some music in LA that you will hear on the podcast, but the actual feature track didn't get started until Josh was back in the South driving between Austin and New Orleans. I will leave it at that, but we just want to make sure the timeline is very clear for everyone listening.
Okay, we covered a lot of ground in these interviews, and I cannot wait to debut Jesus Christ Pumpkin Spice. So without further ado, Josh Starkman and Zach Schwartz. You guys want to get started? I guess, Zach, you want to introduce yourself and tell Josh a little bit about who you are, what you do, and all that?
So, hey guys, I'm Zach Schwartz from Los Angeles, California. I am born and raised in Glendale, and I studied acting for the majority of my academic life through college. I went to Cal Arts, and while I was in high school, I got really into DJing and went to a lot of music festivals and raves and back in the day. And that was really kind of what sparked my curiosity in DJing and making music. A little bit of background. My dad is a children's musician. So he does music for little kids. And he was in a band called Parachute Express when I was a kid. So I grew up kind of watching him perform and do music for children. And I played guitar growing up in a lot of bands and stuff like that. And when I was in college, I began to DJ all the parties and start to work as a mobile DJ. And that kind of grew into my own DJ business. And then that grew into, me having my own artist project, which was LMNOP. And a few years ago, I made Lil Z. That's him right back there. And we're a part of the project together. So it's me and Lil Z is LMNOP. For all the people on the podcast, I'm talking about a puppet that is right behind me.
Right.
I've kind of just recently brought him into performance and music videos. And he's like a major part of my brand as far as representing me. He's like my brother, but, the shitty brother. So yeah, cool. That's a little bit about me.
I guess it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
My name is Joshua Starkman. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, but I have lived in New Orleans for the past 11 years. And I first got there to get a master's degree in jazz studies, performance for guitar. And I completed that degree, and I stuck around because there was a lot of work. And I basically gigged my butt off doing all kinds of the gigs that people do in New Orleans, whether it's at a bar or a wedding or whatever. I taught for a long time. And then I began making videos on Instagram during a kind of rough patch in my life. And at first, it was me just playing the guitar with a sort of sarcastic grin on my face. And I played just like a 2-5-1 or something very basic chord progression wise. And I said, have a great day. And my friends thought it was funny because I started doing it just every day as a little escape. And they said, you should do this every day. So I started doing it every day, and it slowly started growing. And all my friends in New Orleans started recognizing it and getting excited about it. And some of them wanted to do it as well because many of my friends are musicians. And then the idea kind of clicked, like, oh, social media. There's a social part to it. I can really engage with society through this technology. So I started doing a lot of collaborations with a lot of different people and just working with my ideas. I've worked with bands, I've worked with singers, I've worked with people across different genres. It's a really interesting way for me to explore and engage in the place that I'm in. I've traveled with it as well. I've gone to Los Angeles with it. I've gone to New York with it.
You guys kind of answered some of the questions I had in the interview, but I wanted to kind of get like a little deeper into some of those. And I wanted to start with Josh. So one of the things that we're doing on this is trying to connect people, right? And I think like, especially in this sense, we're doing this whole virtual connection thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious because Josh, your like main thing right now is social media. Can you discuss your ability to connect with people via social media, this like virtual connection? How is that different from maybe a more in-person connection, and how have you managed that?
Right. So I was pretty not into social media for a while. I definitely just focused on the negative points of it and thought it was like destroying the world. But like any tool, it's all about how you use it. And I took social media lessons with a friend of mine who was working for Bubble Bath Records at the time, which is a local record label in New Orleans that I've been somewhat affiliated with through different projects. And he basically laid out the basics of like, this is how Facebook works. This is how Instagram works. This is how YouTube works. This is how hashtags work. And I just remained persistent with it. And that's really the main thing, is just persistent communication. It leaves a stamp in people's minds. Humans aren't going to just be happy all the time, but as an artist, you create a space to choose exactly how you want to be. Mm-hmm. Or get out whatever you want to get out. So I put on the happy face. I get into this kind of like have a great day guy character. And sometimes it becomes like a sounding board for the other person to bounce off of or contrast, or they get into the same vibe or whatever it is, And a lot of it comes from, full disclosure, I was getting a divorce. That's how I started all this. So it was kind of like being defiantly joyful, faking it till you make it kind of thing. Because the body has a very interesting way of releasing chemicals when you just start smiling. And if you're just smiling, even if you're having the worst day of your life, you'll still feel something. If you keep holding it. It's very interesting. That being said, sometimes my cheeks do ache.
One of the reasons why I wanted to kind of connect you guys is because I see kind of a similarity in like this. I don't mean, when I say childlike, I don't mean that in like a negative way. I just mean it in more of like this clinging to that childlike creativity that so many of us lose. Mm-hmm. And like, I see that in so much of both of y'all's art. And I was just curious, like, how do you manage to hold on to that as an artist? Because I know we're dealing with pandemic, we're dealing with hurricane, we're dealing with getting COVID, all this stuff. How do you guys keep that in your art?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I've always tended to gravitate towards music being something that's fun. And I think that's really important for me as an artist, for it to be fun. And if it's not fun, I generally will stop doing it or like leave. I've had projects that I've worked on and it's like I love sad music, but like it'll be like too sad or like too bedroom style. And I sometimes I just lose interest or focus. But when it's like fun and upbeat and uplifting, it's always something that I tend to come back to, especially in projects that I've made. So I guess to keep that kind of childhood excitement around music, I think it takes just allowing that to come out and create in moments when you are feeling that.
It's interesting. I mean, people take life so seriously, but I just don't really see a point. It's so stressful to live that way. Like to think that the world is some sort of adult zone, Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And, like being an adult doesn't mean that you lose your creativity or that you lose your sense of wonder or your sense of openness to people or possibilities or ideas. Children don't see things in boxes as much as adults.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the kind of playful, fun nature of music is what keeps me wanting to make music.
Totally.
But I think part of what makes me special as a producer is I can put that fun nature into the production and the sound of the music.
I would love to jump in here because I think this is exactly what I wanted to talk to both of you about, of bringing yourself into your art being authentic to yourself, and you both have, whether you consider it an alter ego or a character, whether it's Lil Z or the Have a Great Day version of Josh Starkman. There's a long history of, alter egos or characters in music. And I would just love to hear maybe if we can kick it to Josh really quickly about how you are bringing your authentic self and also portraying a character, and why those aren't necessarily opposed to each other, or maybe they are. I don't know. You're tell me a little bit more.
So the Have a Great Day alter ego is just a part of my ego, if you will, and it's just the concentrated version of that I tap into. But I can tap into other parts of my personality through like story work that I do on Instagram or interviews that I've done with people. But still, with the interviews, I still have kind of that naivete persona, because that's the other thing. I feel like when you have that naivete, people really open, because they're like, this guy's just not serious. Like I can just be however, and he's okay with it, and that's a really powerful thing,
So clearly, Josh, we align in like a lot of ways, and like what basically like what we want people to feel with music. Like we want people to have a fun time. Like we want to like create this like experience, and then I think we also have some like ironic, like, ego part of our artistic projects that like make it kind of unique, and I'm really curious of like how we're gonna collaborate and make something, and like if that's like, is that gonna be video too? Like, I'm interested in that.
You're in LA, right?
I'm in LA, yeah.
Okay, so I'm here for the month in Austin. I have a lot of free time, and flights to LA are like $100 and round trip from here, and I have friends that I can stay with, so like I could come out for a long weekend.
I would love to do that. I feel like that's kind of, maybe we can start on some concepts, leading up to you coming out here. And then when you come out here, we're like really fully execute.
Thank you for leaning way in on this. It's super cool.
Thanks so much. Because so much of what I do too is about bringing people together. It makes everything better. You know what I mean?
Amazing. Sweet. Josh, you're super rad. Super excited to do this.
Same, man. Great. Sweet. All right. Much love, guys. Have a great day.
Have
a great day.
Wait, can we get one Josh just solid saying that so we can have it? Sorry.
Okay. Have a great day. Yeah, baby. Nailed it.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate that.
Perfect.
See you guys later.
Later, y'all.
Later.
All right, that first interview was a lot of fun. It was so great getting to connect those two guys, our guests for this episode. Zach and Josh brought a lot of great energy.
Yep, definitely. No time to waste. Let's hear what happened when they met up in LA.
Let's go.
There you guys are.
Yeah, can you hear us now?
Yeah. Works. Okay. Hello, Zach. Zach Schwartz, everybody.
How's it going, guys? You showed them your t-shirt, right?
Yeah. Oh, not yet.
We haven't gotten there yet.
For the grand reveal. Okay, are we starting the show yet?
We're starting. Everything's recorded. Some stuff might be in the show, but we're starting.
Yeah. I know how Hollywood works, Mr. LA.
Venti's that there is a deeper, it's a multimedia, multi-platform, Jesus Christ pumpkin spice
We created a brand. Yeah, we created just an experience that we really think is going to hit the heartland of America hard.
Thinking back to our first conversation, we hang up that call, swap contact information. What happens first?
I booked a ticket to Los Angeles, and I'm there. Bada bing, bada boom.
Perfect. So Zach, Josh arrives in LA. Y'all link up. Tell us about the first day.
Woo! I just have to say, instantly, Josh is a light. When he stepped into my studio, we instantly connected, and we started talking about like some of the stuff that we wanted to do, and we just kind of hopped right into doing a session. We made this Brazilian-inspired jazzy guitar thing. It was cool. It was really fun.
So we went and got lunch, and it was tight. It was a great lunch. It was kind of light. If I remember, Zach's dish kind of sucked, but that's okay.
It was bad. Terrible.
It was bad. We're not going to name the restaurant. Anyway, we get back, and your homeboy's there. This guy was a light. I like this
Oh,
guy. What was his name?
Yeah, Darren Vartanian, aka Pixel Face. I was doing like a paid project for Darren, which is why he needed to meet up with me to get the project over the finish line. So Josh was a part of the session and actually played guitar on the track to help it get it to the finish line. So he helped me in business, which was also very, very helpful. But also Josh and Darren had a great connection. After Josh left, Darren was like, that guy is the best. And I was like, right?
Sick. So this is funny because we haven't even explained how we've gotten to the song that we even made. This is just from us hanging out. We didn't even use the song that we were talking about because sometimes God speaks through things. And in this case, God spoke to me in a Buc-ee's in Baytown, Texas. So I evacuated to Texas and I came back from LA and I was there for one more week. I had like a little gig. I walk into this Buc-ee's. First, I drove by it and I thought, where am I? My spirit shot out of my head. I astral projected and I had to get gas first and foremost. And I don't think I've stopped at a Buc-ee's. I've stopped at a smaller Buc-ee's. And a smaller Buc-ee's is like 20 pumps and you're like, oh, come on, this is crazy. But when you stop at this one, you realize that it's like the town square of this town in between Houston and Lake Charles, Louisiana. So I go in and I am, sometimes I do my social media work and I have to get kind of into this like excited, funny character. I was just there. I felt like a child had gone to like late capitalist Christmas. It's like a cooking ware and like American flag aprons and like Texas crap. And just within the first section that I get to, within the first 10 minutes of going there, I come upon this shirt. I run on Jesus and pumpkin spice. So I bought the shirt. But first I actually walked around the rest of Buc-ee's and saw that they have a bunch of food that if I ate it, it would make me have like really bad acid reflux. That being said, I'm driving back and I'm like, Zach, I just had a fucking spiritual awakening, like an American Mecca I visited. It's like I had my Hajj right there between Lake Charles and Houston, Baytown, Buc-ee's. And I say, Zach, we have to make a song about Jesus and pumpkin spice.
We had like a virtual session, and in the virtual session, we went over kind of the sounds that we wanted to use. And we had some ideas about some stuff, and I had already built a beat that I had started that was a house beat, and then we were kind of auditioning some gospel samples on top of it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then Josh had kind of mentioned this guy that is this guy
Ricky Dillard.
The guy who goes, Jesus Christ!
Oh no, that guy.
That guy. Sorry, not Ricky Dillard. But you did mention Ricky Dillard.
What's his name? Let me look at that guy's name.
His name is Mike.
Mike Servin.
He had a bad drug problem and then basically became born again, and now he is a servant of God. And
great energy, this guy. He's great energy.
Amazing energy, and he's really good at dancing. He does a lot of pop locking. Oh, yeah. It kind of started with us ripping some samples off of YouTube and resampling them and using them kind of as a basis of this house track.
What is something in there that you really love or you're really proud of?
Oh, that's a great question. When I started making the beat, just right away, like I'm pretty quick at putting stuff together, but I think I had found a groove.
Like I mentioned earlier, this guy, Ricky Dillard, who's a preacher out of, and a choir master out of Chicago. And he had an album recently that came out that's called Choir Master. That's really, really good. Gospel music, great video of it too. And he did a whole remixed album of this gospel music with house music by this DJ. And I'd been jamming to this like remixed album for the past 6 months or so. So there's some of that in there too. And we were like checking through different samples like on Splice or something like that, right? To like find what fit or what worked. And then I laid some of those talk vocals that were then down pitched, and then also guitar parts.
Absolutely. And it's funny, what started out as kind of like a revelation about the shirt and a jokey house tune about pumpkin spice lattes turned into something that actually is serious and has validity, I think.
we're straddling the line for believers and non-believers. You know what I mean? It's more just about the energy that pumpkin spice and Jesus Christ evoke. And it's like, yeah, perhaps I grew up in this like agnostic, not atheist, but agnostic sort of background, or, you know, my basis of understanding of Christianity was like TBN and all these like get rich quick type of wealth, prosperity, gospel types that are obviously problematic. But there is also, like, for the have a great day, Joshua Starkman, I do love gospel music. And even though I'm not a believer of Jesus Christ, nor do I drink pumpkin spice anything, specifically more so for Jesus Christ, there are still things from the spirituality of Christianity that I feel and can relate to.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that don't want to listen to it, but I think, like, regardless of your religious affiliation, listening to gospel music will make you feel better. It's undeniable.
One song, I mean, I was getting hyped off of Can't Nobody Do Me Like Jesus, like James Cleveland singing that while I was evacuating. And it's like, sometimes that makes me fucking cry, you know, like the idea of redemption, all these, like I was saying, like with Christianity, that's kind of one of the big emphases, right? And that I think a lot of times it gets overlooked in the United States, because also there's a whole political side to Christianity tied into imperialism, colonialism that's very problematic on a human level. But the spiritual side of it, and just the stories that tap into the idea that, you know, it's the tale of the hero, for example.
Mm-hmm. The hero's journey.
Yeah. And also another thought came up. One of the biggest parts of Jesus's teaching is radical acceptance, right? For me, like I said, the last thing I want to do is offend anyone. And the song is for believers or non-believers or in-betweeners or whatever, as long as, you know, we're all feeling good. That's all it comes down to, just being present, in my opinion, you know.
I also think that there's an irony to the capitalistic side of Christianity in today's modern day capitalism, in conjoinment with the capitalistic exploitation of a flavor. They kind of go hand in hand. And that's really why that shirt exists. I mean, you were just noticing something that was put together by whoever designed that shirt. And I think that there is something to be said for how ridiculous and amazing it is that you found it at Buc-ee's. Well,
Buc-ee's is exactly what you were saying, which is just like, it's just like all these big box stores. They're stand-ins for actual culture and actual, like, they're pure consumption. It's not like small business in a town where you go and you know the people that work there. It's like manor style feudalistic capitalism, you know? I mean, we can go off on this. Like, no, it's kind of deep.
Really, everything in this whole situation is connected. I mean, we're talking about Buc-ee's. Like,
there's also something about using that Mike Servan sample of him kind of yelling this Jesus Christ, and the use of that word just in general in like the kind of very religious Baptist evangelical community. It's almost like every other word is Jesus Christ, and there's something that's like the overuse of that word, the mirroring of that with like this like over promotion in October of this flavor.
We're writing a
dissertation
now.
they're meant to go together. House music, I think, has always kind of provided this kind of religious experience of music, of specifically electronic music, where people who are really big house people are like die-hard religious house people. They only love deep techno or deep house or, you know, certain kind of styles.
What's interesting too about the roots of house music, though, is that it's black and gay. It's queer black music. So like for it to be like put into a song with a theme that is so mainstream, it's kind of like bizarre.
But house music actually came from one club in Detroit, and that club, they called it the House Music because that's how it got to be named house.
It was like, oh, that club over there that plays that.
It was the House Music.
Wow.
And really, it was just all of these flips of these speeches that they were putting in the beginning of these songs with these kind of repetitive bass lines. There's this like really famous speech that's like a gospel-esque type of speech that's been used over and over in house music. That's this like, in the beginning, there was Jack, and Jack had a groove, and from this groove was the groove of all house music. And like this is like a really famous like house sample that a lot of people have used, and it is gospel. It is literally preaching.
I think it makes our experiences better when we focus on the gifts that people have instead of focusing on what they don't have. But my interest is just like the gifts that you're given or the music that you have in you from your life. That's the most important thing. And just how music exists in a community with people is the most important thing too. Like education is almost secondary. Like the fact that you went to a fancy school, in my opinion, is a lot of times secondary to who you are, your journey you've been on, and what you can offer where and when you are.
Amen.
Yeah, man, that
was beautiful.
I'm really happy with the way that the track came out as far as, all of the elements that came together to actually make it. And it's a good testament to me and Josh, like just being kind of bundles of fun energy and enthusiastic, like silliness, I would say, but serious silliness.
Thank you. It sounds like we're pretty much getting close. I just wanted to say one thing because I would feel bad if I didn't say this. The guitar solo is sick. Whatever we were just talking about as far as talking about
World
skills
views
and
and
everything.
shit.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, a sick guitar solo is like it's just a sick guitar solo.
It reminds me so much of the guitar part from David Bowie's Dance.
Yeah, Let's Dance.
Let's Dance.
That's the tone. I was
end.
like, make it sound like that.
Like that really, love that.
The 80s are back. Everyone's into it. Dude, there's great music from every era that's been recorded. I mean, every era is in fashion. 2000s are a thing, apparently. I saw some
2000s are
kids in
back.
high school dressing like it's early 2000s. That was like a thing. Oh, I'm getting older.
Wow.
Yeah. Whatever.
This is a dark rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah,
y'all, thank you again.
Yeah,
And I've got 2 wrap-up questions for each of you. Where can people find more of you?
So you can find me on social media platforms, primarily Instagram and Facebook. My name's Joshua Starkman, Starkman, like Stark Naked. And you can find me on Instagram, just Joshua Starkman. Facebook, just Joshua Starkman. I've begun teaching group lessons on a website called learnontil.com. And the lessons will begin October 21st. And we'll do them once per week. And that way you can take an hour-long group lesson with me for like a really low rate, $25 a lesson, and learn from others as well. Eventually, I'm going to have a Patreon up and out, I think, in November. And if you come to New Orleans, just hit me up and I'll let you know what I'm up to. I'm doing live shows. Have a great night. I'm playing at Preservation Hall every Wednesday. So I'm keeping busy.
If you want to check out my music videos that I've made, you can go to my website, elementopmusic.com, and I have all of my videos that I've done on there. As far as music, you can find me on SoundCloud or Spotify or Apple Music. If you look up LMNOP, my Instagram is at DJ LMNOP because I am also a DJ, and you can follow me there. So excited for that. And then I also have my first debut album that is coming out November 19th on Dome of Doom Records. It's going to be my first album. It's 13 tracks. Just submitted it, and we're going to be doing some fun stuff around that and releasing a tape as well. For people who have tape players, you can get a tape.
So fun.
Yeah, it's called Alphabet Soup Volume 1.
Thank you to everyone listening at home. And of course, thank you to Zach and Josh for being our guests this episode. Now, here is their track, Jesus Christ, Pumpkin Spice.
There's no freedom. There's no freedom. And without love, there's no power in that forgiveness. Come on. It's the breathing in and breathing out. Love. Forgive. Love. Forgive. Come back tonight. Jesus.
Pumpkin spice is my vice.
God's gonna make it fall into place, because He makes all things work together for your good. If a person is calling on your help for their good, for my good, for our good. Jesus Christ, 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 Christ. Jesus Christ. It's coming back now, y'all. Jesus Christ is my Lord. Jesus Christ. This place is my Lord. Jesus Christ is my Lord. Jesus Christ.
Follow Blind Duet on Instagram and Twitter at Blind Duet Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, please send a brief bio along with links to your work to blindduetpod@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Blind Duet is brought to you in part by the New Orleans Tourism and Culture Fund. We would also like to thank the Music and Culture Coalition of New Orleans for their support.